The uncovered story of Bashar al Assad. Once seen as a mild-mannered ophthalmologist, Bashar al Assad has become one of the world's most controversial leaders. As Syria's civil war enters its second decade, his name is synonymous with brutality, survival, and the devastating human cost of absolute power. Born in 1965, Bashar al Assad was never meant to rule Syria. That role was reserved for his older brother, Bashar, a charismatic military leader. But destiny had other plans. Bashar's early life, studying medicine and ophthalmology in London, far removed from politics. The death of Bashar al Assad in a car accident in 1994, which thrust Bashar into the political spotlight. Groomed by his father, Hafez al-Assad, to inherit the presidency after his death in 2000. The initial hope of reforms as Bashar was seen as a modern, Western-educated leader. When Bashar al-Assad took office in 2000, there was cautious optimism. Syrians hoped for reform, modernization, and a break from his father's authoritarian legacy. But the promises of a Damascus Spring were short-lived. Early economic and political reforms gave way to repression as opposition movements gained momentum. Consolidation of power with the military and intelligence apparatus inherited from Hafez. Growing tensions between the regime and ethnic and religious minorities. In 2011, the Arab Spring sparked hope for change across the Middle East. In Syria, peaceful protests were met with violence, igniting a civil war that would devastate the nation. Protests demanding democratic reforms were crushed with military force. The emergence of rebel groups fighting against Assad's regime. The regime's use of barrel bombs, chemical weapons, and indiscriminate attacks on civilians. The transformation of Syria into a proxy battleground involving global powers like the US, Russia, Iran, and Turkey. Bashar al-Assad's rule has been marked by accusations of war crimes, including the use of chemical weapons against his own people and systematic torture in secret prisons. The Ghouta chemical attack in 2013, killing hundreds, and subsequent international outcry. Leaked photographs from the Caesar report exposing the torture and deaths of thousands of detainees. The displacement of over 13 million Syrians, with millions seeking refuge in neighboring countries in Europe. Assad's alleged use of starvation and siege tactics against rebel-held areas. Despite global condemnation, Bashar al-Assad remains in power, thanks to a network of powerful allies who have ensured his survival. Russia's intervention in 2015, providing critical military support through airstrikes and ground forces. Iran's backing through funding, weapons, and the involvement of Hezbollah fighters. Assad's ability to exploit divisions among opposition groups and global powers. Accusations of selling out Syrian sovereignty to foreign backers in exchange for retaining power. While Syria lies in ruins, the Assad family continues to amass wealth through corruption, illicit trade, and control over the nation's resources. The role of Bashar's wife, Asma al-Assad, in maintaining the regime's image while allegedly profiting from humanitarian aid meant for Syrian citizens. Reports of the Assad family's offshore accounts, luxury properties in Europe, and involvement in Syria's thriving war economy. The exploitation of Syria's reconstruction efforts to reward loyalists and punish opposition areas. The Syrian civil war has reshaped the Middle East, with Bashar al-Assad at the center of one of Assad's role in destabilizing the region, leading to the rise of extremist groups like ISIS. International inaction and the failure to hold Assad accountable for war crimes. The normalization of relations with Assad by some Arab nations, despite ongoing atrocities. In a stunning turn of events, Bashar al-Assad left Syria under growing international pressure and internal dissent. His departure has been met with joy and relief, sparking celebrations across the country. Reports suggest Assad left Syria amid declining support from his allies and an increasingly fragile regime. Citizens took to the streets to celebrate, viewing his exit as the end of an era of oppression. Symbolic acts, such as tearing down portraits of Assad and reclaiming public spaces, signal a new chapter for Syria. We have seen years of destruction, but we have not lost hope. Our spirit is unbroken, and we believe in a future where our children can live in peace. For the first time in years, I feel like I can breathe. We are free to hope again. With Assad gone, Syria faces the monumental task of rebuilding a nation devastated by war. The road to recovery will be long, but the spirit of the Syrian people is unbreakable. International efforts to assist in Syria's reconstruction. Challenges in reconciling divided communities and ensuring justice for war crimes. Hopes for a democratic future and an end to decades of authoritarian rule. Bashar al Assad's legacy is one of destruction and survival at any cost. While his exit marks a turning point for Syria, the consequences of his rule will be felt for generations to come. The lasting impact of war on Syrian society, including trauma, displacement, and lost generations. Efforts by activists and international courts to hold Assad accountable for his crimes. The end of Bashar al-Assad's reign is not the end of Syria's story. It is a chance for healing, for rebuilding, and for hope. The Syrian people have shown the world their resilience. Now they must write their own future. Freedom is not the absence of fear, but the courage to overcome it. Bashar al-Assad's story is one of transformation, from a reluctant leader to a symbol of survival at any cost. While his grip on power endures, the scars he has left on Syria and its people will shape the region for generations to come. The question remains, at what price does power come, and who will hold him accountable? Justice delayed is not justice denied. Subscribe for more stories.